Hello there, and you're very welcome to another episode of the Arkham Avengers Fantasy Football Premier League podcast. You join me, the host, along with Eamon and Hector, we take a look to see how the managers in this league are getting on in their quest to be crowned the champion for 2021-22. Hello listeners, and you're very welcome to today's show. As always, I'm joined by Eamon and Hector and Captain Mick. Lads, very nice to have you on the show. Thank you. Always nice to be here, as usual. Very nice to be here.
I'm enjoying being back on the show. Thanks for having me.
Very well. Okay, look, at the moment, our football game week hasn't finished, and rather than spinning it over 2 weeks, we've decided to do something entirely different. As you know, we invite listeners to contact us with comments, views, anything that they want. And indeed, we've had a look in the Arkham Avengers mailbag to have a look at what some of our listeners have sent in. Okay, what is this, like a questions and answer session, is it? You could say that, Eamon.
Right, I hope he's not going to ask any dodgy questions, because I hadn't prepared for anything like this.
You mean dodgy? What do you mean dodgy questions?
I don't know, you could ask something. You would ask anything, I don't know. What sort of questions?
Ask him. Don't worry, I've had a look here and we just selected some of the questions that have come in. We'll be grand, lads, we'll be grand.
That's reassuring. This sounds a bit like, the band on the Titanic as it's going down, and you're saying it's reassuring.
Lads, it's a bit of fun. Take it easy. Our listeners are going to enjoy this. To start us off, we have an email from Brian over in Ontario for Hector. And Brian asks, what is the last book Hector read? And what book are you going to read next? I have finished the book. Very good book. The last book I read is called I Was a Boy in Belsen. And it's from Tommy Rachental. I probably not pronounce his name right now. Okay, what's the book about? It's about a boy, a Jewish boy, and he lived in Slovakia in the Second World War. And he and his family, they got sent to the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. In the book, the story he says how he survived along with some of his family. And, what happened to him after the war, the experiences, the things that he saw when he was a child. And he returns home. And then, there is a lot of change, and they have to move. They go to Israel, and after that, then he go back to Germany. He do some engineering. He go to England for a while. Then he went up in Ireland. He live in Ireland at the moment. Okay. And he go around, and he talks about the Holocaust in schools. It's very interesting, And very good. I like the book. Okay. And do you have another book lined up? Yeah, I do. It's a book I came across. It's called Returning Light. Okay, have you anything else to add on that? This book is about a man. He have a job as a warden on Skellig Michael, yes. One of the islands, off the coast of Kerry, and he worked there for 30 years. And I look forward to reading this book. There's some very, very good photographs in it. It's not a big book, but it's a nice book, so it is interesting. I think it'll be very good. Man on an Island. Wow, very good. Okay, sure, that's grand. Okay, so that's Hector's books there. Hey man, we've got an email for you. This comes from Andre in Bavaria, of all places. And Andre asks, if you couldn't have Salah in your team, who would be the next player you would choose for your fantasy football team, Eamon?
Well, that's an interesting question. And look, for me, at the moment, I think I'd be looking for Saka. He seems to be back on form. He's currently valued at about 6.5 million. He's reasonable, and he's had 3 goals in the last 6 matches. So you're getting a return out of this guy. I'd also be considering Wilfred Zaha. He's also showing form. Now, he's about 6.8 million, but he's worth a punt. Sadio Mane, a Liverpool player, is another interesting player. Okay, you're going to have to spend a little bit more money. He's 11.7 million. But this guy has scored 4 goals in the last 4 matches. Okay, very good. Okay, Hector, another question for you. This is from Farah in Corpus Christi, Texas. This is a food question. Okay. What's your favorite food from South America? Okay, yeah. Oh, nice question, Farah. I like this one. This has to be, empanadas. Delicious. I'm sorry. What are they now? They're like, what you say? They're like cochans. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, cochon.
Sounds like he's saying something about his aunt. He's saying your aunt's a quack, is it, or what like that?
No, that's in the cochon.
I'm at a loss. I'm really not sure what he's trying to say. I think perhaps maybe we should have some diagrams. Could you draw this for us, Hector?
No, listen. Cochon, I see them in shops. You go buy 4 of them in pack. Sometimes they come with chocolate. Why are you looking at me like this? Because I'm at a complete loss, Hector.
Okay, let me think. People, they eat them for breakfast. No, you find them in the hotels for breakfast. People butter them, they put jam on them. They're very brittly. They're lots of stuff. Hold on a second. Hector, you're talking about a croissant. Yes, that's it. That's what I say. A croissant. These empanadas, they're like the croissant pies. You make them with dough. You put lots of fillings inside them. You season them like the beef, the onions, the potatoes, the rice, eggs. All that sort of stuff. They're very nice. For my money, and I am not, biased or anything like this, but the Argentinians, empanadas, they're the best in the world. 2 bites, they're gone. Yum yum. Well, there you go now, lads. We've learned something new. Empanadas. I don't know. Certainly sounds better than the croissant. Next question. Mick, this is for you. This question is from Dubai. Ahlam in Dubai. And Ahlam is asking, will Mick go back into managing football soon? And if so, would it be in England or would he go to another country?
Thanks for the question, Ahlam. Well, I put it like this. If someone came knocking on my door and said, Mick, we need you to help us out, I'd certainly take a good look at the lads and the setup that they've got. Myself and Terry, we worked a few wonders down through the years, and I like to think, fire's still burning inside me, and I wouldn't really worry where the club was based. If it was good for me, then I'm on.
Can I just say, on reflection, do you think that your appointment to the Cypriot side upon Nicosia was ill-judged on your behalf? And considering after you lasted barely 2 months in charge of the club.
I don't think it was ill-judged, Eamon. I think whenever you're in a position to manage, to coach, it's leaning on the experience that you have. You're also going to learn from the players that are there, the club, the fans, and building whatever you have. I've said this before. It was a different culture and a different way in that club for me to operate, to manage. And I actually thought we were doing well until we got hit with the COVID-19. We lost 4 matches, but I had to bring in kids. So, really young lads, they were keen, ambitious, but look, it wasn't enough, and time runs out on you. And, expectations, people have them to achieve them. If you're not achieving them, then look, they make a decision. That's up to them at the end of the day. It's their club. And, I got the call from Cardiff after we were leaving, so as my auntie always says, every door that closes, another one is opening up for you.
Thanks for that there, Mick. Eamon, we have a question for you here now.
Okay, yes.
Siobhan over in Manchester asks, why is Eamon so against Arkham Avengers? She is wondering, is there some history between yourself and Arkham Avengers?
I can certainly say without a shadow of a doubt, there is no history between Arkham Avengers and myself. We've never met for a start. I don't know who the manager is. Now, if Siobhan is a regular listener, she should realise I'm not against the spoofer. I'm merely pointing out the deficiency this manager has and what he portrays from week to week. And listeners, if you're not aware of this, you have to realise this is the 14th season that the spoofer has been in the fantasy football. And what have they to show for it? This is what I ask you. What have they achieved?
Okay, well, Eamon, hold on. They came third last season, so let's not beat around the bush. Because last year's season was really competitive. And to take third, they have to have done something well.
And look, you come third. What do you do next?
I don't know, Eamon. What do you do next?
You build on the success. Third place should lead to second place this season. But we're not seeing this. No, all we've seen this season is the spoofer throw away points on transfers, which in the main have backfired.
I don't know about that, Eamon. I think you're off the track there now.
What's there not to know about this, Hector? The spoofer most weeks has some audacious move where they're trying to accelerate their ascendance in the table, and 9 times out of 10 it fails.
Hold on, Eamon.
What is it, Mick? What is it? What have you got to say about this?
If I could interject for a moment, and I think, in my humble opinion, because you refer to him as the spoofer, you're personalising this more. Like all listeners, they don't hear you say, Arkham Avengers, they had X amount of transfers and they didn't work, and they didn't do this, and they picked the wrong customer. The listeners are hearing you saying, the spoofer done this, and the spoofer tried that, and it's spoofer constantly. And I think that's the main issue here at the moment.
No, it's not. It's certainly not personalised. And I mean, come on. if you recall in game week 26, the spoofer got the highest points of all of the managers. And I said, and you can listen back to the podcast if you like. I said, the transfers, along with the triple captain, was the best move that the spoofer made all season. And that's not me being against the spoofer.
Yes, but Eamon, hold on. In fairness, you do weigh in more heavily on the spoofer than some of the other managers. And we have to be honest about that.
I reject that. I contest that. I had a go at Sorry KDB in recent weeks. I said to you the shine was gone out that guy. I pulled up the Tobogger 6 on their inability to catch Sorry KDB, their lack of vision, their lack of action. In fact, I'm like a broken record on the subject of that there. And don't even start me on What a Beauty 99. It's criminal. They're at the foot of the table when they're more experienced than some of the other managers.
Okay.
Right, we take that on board. Yeah, look, do take it on board. I hope you're taking this on board. And can I also say, can we win again? From the start of this season, I raised doubts about their ability to retain their cup. I questioned this name for a start. I questioned this. I didn't know where this came out of, and I said this is sowing the seeds of doubt in this team and in this manager from the start. The season so far speaks for themselves. They're stuck in 10th, moving no place. So I tell you, and everyone else, what the real issues are here.
Oh, what are the real issues, Eamon? I'm hanging on every word you're saying here.
I'm glad you are, Hector. I'm glad you are. Let me explain this. These managers, these experienced managers, my view, they've been caught blindsided by the new managers. They've been unable to cope and unable to adapt to these newbies. They came back into this season, this year, thinking they'd have it all their own way, and suddenly they realised they had competition. And they've struggled to deal with this. They've struggled to comprehend what they were up against, and they've struggled to adapt. And two of the female managers battled with these so-called sunshine boys, and these lads haven't been able to cope. So I've nothing against this spoofer. And Siobhan, I hope you stay tuned for the rest of the season and that you're enjoying the show.
Well, thanks for that, Eamon. Mick, it's back over to yourself here. Thomas in Shrewl, this is in County Mayo, he's asked, do you have a favourite James Bond actor?
Yeah, well, I have to say, I like all of the actors. Sean Connery is good, and Roger Moore. Well, congratulations, but he only done the one movie. Pierce Brosnan was quite good, and Daniel Craig. They're all good actors, but I do have to say, I do have a sort of spot for Timothy Dalton. I thought he had a real edge to him. Especially in License to Kill. I thought it was a good movie. It's a pity he only got to do the 2 movies, but, I thought he's very good, very good. I thought,
Speaking of movies, Eamon, we have a question from Christina in Bratislava, and she asks if your spouse ever discovered the red wine stain. I think this is from the infamous movie night in between the three of you.
Great. Yeah, and she did. She found out about it. Look, my faux pas was buying the rug, especially when we had a carpet laid just over a year ago. So she kind of wondered why was I buying a rug. And in fairness, it didn't match any of the colours in the room. And, I might as well have stuck a sign up and said, look, here, there's a stain at this spot. At the end, I had to hold my hands up.
What did you say, Eamon? Did she give you grief, Eamon?
Well, yeah, I got grief, and then I explained the situation, and then she said, give Hector the bill for cleaning.
Sorry? I get a bill?
Yeah, look, Hector, let's be honest, the carpet was badly stained. And I think when you were trying to clean it up, you were rubbing popcorn into the carpet, and this made it even worse. And look, here's the bill. There, Doc, I'll give you this piece of paper. That's the bill, okay? You take that.
Mother of years. Where did I get the money for this?
Look, this is all kosher. These were professionals we had to call in. In fairness, they got that stain out. And you've got to pay the piper, Hector, or in this case, you've got to pay the cleaner. Who knows, your friends here might help you out a little bit.
I was sipping gin and 7-Up, Eamon. That wine's got nothing to do with me.
Well, there you go, Hector, buddy. Maybe you should talk to the host. After all, he did set up that recording session in the room, and if he hadn't set that up, you may not have been spilling the wine there.
Hold on a moment, Eamon. Hold on. Number 1, I didn't hand out any alcohol. And number 2, I provided no popcorn. And number 3, you could have put your foot down, Eamon.
What?
Yeah, you could have said, Hector, Vic, no alcohol, no drinking. We'll watch the movie. That's the end of it. But you were happy enough to let Hector sit there sipping away on his red wine. You didn't stop him. And you didn't stop him. And can I also add, wasn't it from your cabinet that the gin came from that Mick was drinking? So, Eamon, you can back it up there now. I might have set up the recording, but I have no responsibility for the actions. Okay, look, I think the decent thing here to do is, look, if we split the bill 4 ways.
No chance. I'm sorry, no, Eamon. If I spilt it, I'll clean it up or I'll pay for it.
As I said, Eamon, I only supplied the movie. You lads decided to bring the refreshments. I know I had this kind of money. I maybe give you, maybe €10 a week, probably. I'll pay it off, Look, this is just typical. I'm going to foot the bill again on this. I have to. This is just. I don't know what to say. You want the bill back? No, I don't want the bill back. Okay, look, listen, hold on. This is our final question from the mailbag, and Mick, it's for you.
Okay, right. Okay, bring it on.
Zawadi from Nairobi asks Mick, what has been the best moment of your playing career? A question to ask, man.
What do you mean? No question to ask. I think it's a valid question, isn't it? Lads, you don't think it's a nice question to ask?
I'll have to say, it'll be an interesting question. I'm looking at the bill. I'm kind of, all right, so Hector, you've tuned out. Mick, have you got an answer?
Oh, well, there's been so many. Gosh, when I think back, it has to be Italian 90, hasn't it? It has to be. It stops. Nothing else could top it. I was captain at that time, and Italian 90 was like an adventure. And to think that we got down to the last 8, for your listeners, that's the last 8 teams in the world. That's how far we got into that tournament. All those other big teams were gone. It was like a dream. And we got to play the hosts, in Rome. I love the Italians. The Italians still love the Irish. Even the Pope loved us. I still get shivers. When I think about leading the players down to the pitch, the world was watching us. We were on stage at that point. A little Ireland was on stage. That's to be the proudest moment for me. And yeah, look, there was heartache. We lost, but we had so much belief in ourselves. We weren't cowed by any teams, any of the big names. No, they didn't bother us there. And then when you think back, you remember your Jack's Army, but the fans, your flags, the songs, the chanting, the tears, the joys, the laughs. The fans had so much crack. It felt like one big party. And if you look on YouTube or some of the channels that have footage of it there, it's just electric, so it is. We fed off the energy of the fans and the friends. They fed off us when we were on the pitch. There was not, we never seen anything like it before. It was just, wow, blow your head kind of stuff there. And okay, when we left after Italian 90, we got to America. You were saying 94, and again, real big buzz to it there. You can't deny it. You had all the Irish Americans there. You had all the Irish fans there. But for me, it had to be Italian 90. That's that's the thing when Ireland, little country, on the edge of Europe, we announced ourselves to the world during that tournament. The fans did us proud. Jack did us proud. We did everyone proud. Ireland was proud. We came out from under a shadow, and I always say we were able to hold our head up high. The reception back in Dublin, oh look, we were back, fabulous. There's nothing ever to it's hard to describe. So it is. You could feel the energy in the air. It was us footballers, people coming out to us. We just footballers. They came out to greet us, just chanting us with the bus. You can't buy that. I wish I could have bottled that.
Yes, I think it is a momentous period in the history of not only football for Ireland, but Ireland itself, I think. I was so much younger, I think back, John Giles and Bill was there too. We were on the TV, the good times, the analysis. We were finding our way to some degrees on TV, and, I reminisce about those times, and I'm on a podcast. Thank you, Mick, for that. Lads, thanks very much for answering the questions. And look, listeners, if you have any more questions that you want to put to the panels, please, by all means, send them in. The lads will read them and we'll come up with an answer for them there. Thanks for taking part in the show. I think we'll wrap it up here now. I know this show is probably a little bit off the beaten track. We're not talking about the managers in the league. We're not talking about football as such. However, we'll be back next week and we'll take a look at Game Week 28. We'll see which way it went for our managers as such there. And as always, I'd like to thank you all for taking part.
And I have to say, I wasn't too sure about this, but the Q&A session was very interesting. Certainly very varied questions, and thank you for to our listeners for sending in there.
I'd agree with Eamon. I think we should do another one in a couple of months' time. Maybe I like that one, Tony.
That's certainly nice, and hopefully our listeners might send in some more questions to us.
Hector?
Yeah, very good. I'm still looking at this bill. I can't believe you give me this bill.
Talk about trying to ruin my night.
Look, Hector, we'll sort something out of that. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Thanks, gentlemen, and we'll see you all next week. And to our listeners, thank you once again for joining us. Remember, do tell your friends, your family. Don't forget to spread the word and subscribe to us. And if you out there want to get in touch with us, just drop us an email to Arkham Avengers ffpl@gmail.com. We'll have a look at what your comment or your question is. We will read it out. And until next week, do take care, mind yourselves, and wherever you are in the world, have a good morning, a good afternoon, good evening, good night, and slán.